come on up. Bruce. Welcome everybody here. I think we know why we're here, but if you don't, we're here to celebrate Mike Kuebler's going into retirement. So with that, I'll just go through the agenda so everybody kind of knows what's going to happen, and then we'll come back and do the introduction. We'll introduce the guest in a moment, and then we'll go through the retiree's work history, some of the jobs Mike's done. Then we'll go through the gifts and some gag gifts if those are there. And then we got a PowerPoint. We'll go through a presentation, and anybody that has any decent stories or non-decent stories about Mike that they'd like to share. And then we will let the retiree speak to us. So with that, Mike, would you like to introduce your guest?
Yes, I will. I'll do a couple things before that. First, a disclaimer. I almost didn't do this because I wasn't sure I was going to emotionally get through the whole thing. So if I figured a disclaimer, I'll just admit it up front like an alcoholic. I got a problem. If I don't make it, I apologize for being a babbling idiot up here. But I've been doing really good. I've been psyching myself up for like 3 weeks. And I was out in the shop today walking around talking to myself out in the shop. And I'm going to try. I'm all right now. I'm more worried about the end when Karen does her little PowerPoint. That's going to be the hardest part. But before I introduce my family, I would like to recognize some out-of-town guests, friends, and if I miss somebody, I apologize, but the people that spent the time or taking a vacation day, come from out of town, I wanted to thank them. Kirk Schilt from, raise your hand, Kirk.
Way over here, Mike.
Okay, Kirk from Wisconsin. Kirk's with Hypro. Kirk and I go way back, back to our old East Moline Foundry days. When I talk about like suppliers or customers, they're really not suppliers or customers. They're, they've been friends over the years. Kirk, Larry Rush, Larry and I go back to the East Moline days. Again, good. Larry's up from Galesburg today. Victor hasn't made it, but Victor called me last night. They were in Cedar Rapids. He's coming with his family this morning. Frank Crone, where's Frank? Raise your hand. One of my best friends in the world. Frank's, even though he's a big shot supply management guy with the construction and forestry division now in Dubuque, if you cut Frank, he bleeds foundry blood, okay? He's got foundry in his veins. He'll always be a foundry man. He goes back like multiple generations. How many generations of Deere family?
Too many.
Okay, Deere foundry family. So I mean, Frank and I go way back to where he was up here in Waterloo, came down to East Moline Foundry. That's where we first met. And then when we both came back up here together on the most significant project of my career, when we transferred the East Moline ductile iron up here. I mean, we worked longer hours. It was the toughest project of my life, but it was the highlight of my career. From a accomplishment standpoint, we had a team, and Frank and I were part of that team. And the leader of that team, where's Jim? Pearson. Okay, over here. Jim's up from Missouri. He was kind of the leader of that bunch. And we did some things that they said couldn't be done, and we did it in record time. And Jim not only helped me from a foundry standpoint, but he really helped my family get comfortable in the area and get acclimated and feel like part of Waterloo and part of the family. And I really appreciate him, doing that. The other thing that I guess Jim taught me, just thinking about some of the bosses that I worked with, he taught me is the power of teamwork. That we had a lot of different people, and we all worked together, and we had fun. We had a huge project, worked long hours even by his standards. I mean, 12 hours a day is nothing here, but we had some 14, 15-hour days back then. But we had a group that had fun and worked together, and just it was amazing the kind of stuff we accomplished. And I appreciate the stuff that Jim taught me. And Bob Leisinger, who's no longer with us, was another one of those team members that really helped our family get comfortable and acclimated here. Who have I missed? Last but not least, Bill Hill is Jim was my first Waterloo boss. Bill Hill was one of my first, not the first, but one of my first bosses ever with Deere. And when I first became a tooler, and for those of you who don't know a tooler is the guy that you got a scrap problem, you got to go out and figure out what it is, what do you got to do to fix it, and then try to fix it. Well, when I first became a tooler, I was working for Bill. And I was a young pup like many of you guys in here, and I'd read everything, and I got all the theories, and I'd go in and say, I think I can fix this, Bill, what do you think? And we would discuss it, and he knew many times that I was going to go out and what I was going to do was wrong, and I was going to crash and burn, but he encouraged me to go out and do it. He could have said, no, Mike, that's not how you need to do this, but he didn't do that. He said, go try it, because he knew the value of learning from a mistake. and every once in a while I'd get lucky, but most of the times I'd crash and burn. But I learned that, and then later in life when I started people reporting to me, I kind of used that same philosophy, that it's okay to make mistakes, you got to let people go out and learn on their own, and I appreciate Bill and Bev coming up from the Quad Cities, and then even John Leinert's one of our HR, one of my friends in high places, HR director at corporate, but he's up here in Waterloo for business today. I got up a little early this morning and stopped in. I appreciate that. Anybody else from out of town that I missed? Hope I didn't miss anybody. Okay, thank you everybody from out of town for coming up and sharing this with me. All right, family. Mr. and Mrs. Davis, Mr. and Mrs. D to me. I lost my parents when I was really young, before I started with deer. And the Lord works in mysterious ways, brought these two people in my life, and they've become parents not only to me, but my brothers and sisters as well, and I appreciate that. I was doing so well. My wife Denise, I got accused of robbing the cradle. Denise and I started going together when she was 12. That's a true story, but it doesn't count because I was 13. So robbing the cradle doesn't count when you're 13, and we've been together ever since. And don't ask me how many years we've been married. It's more than 25 and less than 30, right? Okay. Sticking with direct family, my daughter Kelsey and her fiance Jay, they're going to get married the 4th of July weekend. And Jay is one of our new deer people. He's in supply management with the Ag Division in the Quad Cities, less than a year, right? And Frank reminded me that this is practice for when I have to walk my daughter down the aisle July 4th, so I'm not doing too well yet. Last time I felt like this, I got to think about this, was when Joe was in 8th grade, and I coached the little guys at 2nd grade, and the last game I coached with them before they went to high school. And we got in the locker room after the last game, and it wasn't pretty, and Joe's probably thinking, oh God, here he goes again. That's the last time I felt this emotionally, I guess, on edge. Kelsey's just finishing my daughter Kelsey's just finishing her 2nd year, 5th grade elementary teacher in Pleasant Valley. And Kelsey will keep me busy when I'm retired. Kelsey's got a lot of vision and likes construction projects. I don't know where she gets that from. But we bought an old house last year and gutted it and reclaimed it and turned it in, and she's got some pretty creative ideas and visions, so she'll keep me busy with projects. Son Joe is a senior at UNI, going to graduate in December. Right, you are going to graduate in December? And yeah, for those keeping track, yes, I have one in college, I have a daughter getting married, I have just finished building a new house, and I'm quitting my job all in 6 months. Now that's not the smartest egg in the brain or whatever. My sister-in-law Dina and her husband Jim. Jim's with Mel Foster in the Quad Cities, one of the biggest companies in the Quad Cities, insurance broker, agent, I don't know what the official term is, very successful in the insurance business in the Quad Cities. And Dina, I was trying to describe, how do I describe Dina?
Oh, gosh.
Yeah. Dina's hard to describe, to make people appreciate her personality, how much fun she is, how much, I mean, you know where you stand with Dina. She always tells you what she thinks, and she's just, fun to be around. A great grandmother of 2 little ones that aren't here with us today. And again, I appreciate them coming down. And then Courtney, my niece, who's not really my niece, she's more like a daughter to me. Courtney, we've been part of Courtney's life ever since she was buried, and Denise and I babysat for her all through the years, and it's been fun watching Courtney grow and mature into the woman she is. And she's got a great husband who couldn't be with us. They got married last year. So she's a newlywed, and so that's my family.